And that was it. I lost the run. For the second time. Pokémon FireRed, a classic installment for the Game Boy Advance. One of my personal favorite games. So I thought, what better game to attempt my very first Nuzlocke on? Surely it can't be that difficult. I'm a seasoned Pokemon player after all. So I booted up a new game, told Professor Oak I'm a boy, named myself Ace and my rival Gary like the chud loser he is, and began my journey by leaving my bedroom. My first stop was Oak's office to collect my starter, a Bulbasaur that I named Cactus Jack. And with that, I was released into the world at the ripe age of 10 to become a Pokemon master, in theory of course. Our first encounter of the game was a Pidgey that I caught and named Maverick. Then on Route 22, I encountered a Spearow which I caught and decided to name Goose. Hilarious, right? With our early encounters done, I headed to take on Gary. I put straight belt to this guy's ass, let me tell you what. Next up was Viridian Forest, where we picked up a Weedle named Noodle. And then, this happened. I ran into the absolute scum of the Pokemon universe known as Rattata. Genuinely, who the fuck likes this Pokemon? It sucks. I did the only thing I could think of, which is to put it out of its miserable existence as soon as possible. We evolved Noodle all the way up into a Beedrill, and then headed to fight Brock. In the most respectful way possible to Brock, this gym was ridiculously simple. Cactus Jack went out there, used 2 Vine Whips, one hit KO'd both of his Pokemon, and we made it out of there with the Boulder Badge after minimal effort. On Route 3, we got pretty lucky with our encounter and got a Jigglypuff, which I named Kirby, obviously, look at it. And we evolved Cactus Jack up into an Ivysaur. Pretty cool. It was at this point my footage decided to blow itself up, but all you need to know is that I evolved Jigglypuff using the shiny stone found in Mount Moon, evolved Pidgey into Pidgeotto, caught a Zubat that I named Gulp, and a Mankey named Bia, before heading in to face Misty's gym. Her trainers fell easily, and before I knew it, I was about to face my future wife in battle. My strategy was simple once again. Lead with Cactus Jack and exploit my distinct type advantage against her entire team. Staryu fell after a couple Vine Whips, bringing out Misty's Starmie, a deceivingly difficult Pokemon thanks to its speed and its access to Swift. But after a couple Leech Seeds and Sleep Powders, Cactus Jack was able to take it out with a Vine Whip. I evolved Goose into a Fearow and went to take on Gary at the bridge. He stood there menacingly, vowing to beat my team into a pulp, before I absolutely bent his sorry ass over and put straight belt to it for the 3rd time. Next I caught an Otis that I named Bobble on Route 24, and couldn't quite catch the Abra I encountered on Route 25. I helped Bill turn back into a regular person before running through the old Vietnam War tunnels beneath Kanto to get to Route 5. There I caught a Meowth named Juno, and went fishing along Route 6 where I caught a Magikarp that we named the Beast. I immediately evolved the Beast into a Gyarados. Finally, after hours of catching rodents and sentient plants, I had something capable of pure, unadulterated violence on my team. With a couple of new faces, I went to battle Gary once again. This time on the SS Anne. I beat the absolute dog piss out of him, as I have every time thus far, reminding him of what a chud loser he is. Spirits were high. Until they weren't. Because next was the Vermilion City Gym featuring Lieutenant Surge and his Raichu. I went into this fight with confidence fueled by the absolute masterclass I had just put on for Gary. Confidence that would soon be demolished. The fight started well. Noodle easily handled Voltorb with 2 Twin Needles, and Surge's Pikachu with only 1. But then came Raichu. I used the first turn to switch into Kirby, allowing Raichu a free double team. It then double teamed again, but Kirby was able to hit a Sing, putting it to sleep. This triggered Surge's full heal and let me get off a pound for decent damage. It was at this point I became incredibly scared. We then missed our next 2 attacks, all while taking Shockwave after Shockwave, until Kirby fainted. One of my best Pokemon, dead by the 3rd gym. At the time I thought this was the worst moment of the entire run. Thankfully Cactus Jack was able to come in, hit a Sleep Powder and a Leech Seed, and help me escape the fight with a 3rd gym badge in hand. With Surge handled, I headed to the Pokemon Center to pick up a replacement for Kirby. I decided on Gulp, who I evolved into a Golbat. On Route 11, I caught an Ekans that I accidentally nicknamed C. Then on Route 9, I ran into another vermin of the material plane, so per personal protocol, I let the beast reduce it to nothing more than a couple of meat scraps along the grass. Finally, I got a little bit lucky with a Voltorb that I named Blink before heading into the worst section of the entire game. Oh my god, I could go on for hours about how much I hate Rock Tunnel. I wish nothing but dishonor and heartbreak on the person who created Rock Tunnel. The Brazen Bull is less torturous than navigating your way through this fuck-ass cave of doom and despair. I would rather storm Normandy fucking Beach than fjord my way through Rock Tunnel. I cannot put into words how much I hate this part of an otherwise brilliant game. It wasn't a total waste. We caught a Geodude that I named Rocky, evolved Bia into a Primeape, and once we got out, I was able to pick up a Growlithe that we named Rover before heading over to fight Erica. The battle started a bit annoyingly with Rover getting paralyzed right away, but thanks to my battle strategy of fuck it, we ball, he was able to stick in there and KO Erica's Victory Bell. I'm sure this strategy won't come back to bite me in the ass one day. Once that was dealt with, I switched into Goose, who easily dispatched of the blue noodly abomination known as Tangela before easily handling Erica's Vileplume, winning me the 4th gym badge and a new bout of confidence. With half the gym leaders down, I headed up to Route 16 and snatched a Doduo named Cerberus, who would prove incredibly useful later in this run. I knocked around a Team Rocket grunt before breaking into their not-so-secret hideout, making my way through another fuck-ass maze to face Giovanni, who, much like Gary, is an absolute bum. I beat the shit out of his team and moved on. I made my way to Pokemon Tower, where I had to once again face Gary. This time, I bent him over my knee like a disappointed father and spanked his ass until he ran home crying like the little bitch boy that he is. I traversed the tower, picking up a Ghastly along the way named Kevin, saved Mr. Fuji, picked up the Pokeflute. I evolved a handful of our Pokemon before making my way over to Slifco, where I was going to stop Team Rocket's corporate takeover, or whatever the hell was happening. Honestly, I don't know, I skipped most of the dialogue. After making my way into the tower, it was time to take on Gary once again. But something felt different this time. He had a look of pure evil in his eyes. The fight started like normal, with me beating the shit out of his useless Pokemon. Blink easily took down Pidgeot and Gyarados. Rover burnt Execute to a crisp, and this is when I learned about the stupidest move in all of Pokemon: Future Sight. I had no idea how this move worked, and because I was so used to beating the absolute shit out of Gary, I didn't think much about it. The beast quickly dispatched of Gary's Alakazam and stayed in to take on Charizard. I felt confident after my first Water Ball left Charizard confused, knowing I could tank another wing attack if it hit through confusion. I left the beast in. Unfortunately, I was about to learn how Future Sight worked. Alive at 21 HP, I prepared to swap out the beast, but the swap would never come, and the beast would fall to the dragon before my very eyes. My weapon of mass destruction eviscerated before my very eyes. I couldn't believe it. I let Blink finish the job, but this 5th victory over Gary meant very little to me considering the circumstances. Feeling a deep hollowness in my chest, I headed to the roof of a building in Celadon City and prepared to jump. But I ended up getting a free Eevee instead and named it Nemo. I evolved Nemo into a Vaporeon. Don't say anything. Picked up the free Lapras, which I decided to name Tonita, and headed to take on Giovanni for the 2nd time, who proved not to be much of a threat at all. Seriously, Team Rocket, this is your guy? He fucking sucks. Next up, Sabrina. Hold on, what's that? Why did the music change? Who cares? I led with Nemo, who took quick care of Kadabra and Mr. Mime, leaving Rover to clean up the Venomoth. It seemed all but decided that the 5th gym badge would end up in my pocket. Until Alakazam came in. I had Rover use Bite, while Alakazam used Calm Mind. Wait, what? It has Calm Mind? It's fine. Rover can still tank another hit and finish this fight, and oh shit. It's unfortunate but fine because Golbat can come in and finish off holy shit. 2 Pokemon down, but we were okay. I sent in C to finish the job with a Bite. Unfortunately for me, once we got Alakazam into the red, Sabrina used a Hyper Potion, and C had to tank the Future Sight attack. Thankfully, our next bite was a crit. Not so thankfully, C would die just like his 2 brothers to a Psychic. It was all up to Nemo, whose bite left Alakazam at 1 HP! I cannot make this shit up. Sabrina used another Hyper Potion while I kept biting. Nemo survived another Psychic at 12 HP, and it was at this moment I realized I had no Hyper Potions. Are we fucking serious? I used a Super Potion and prayed, but Nemo fainted. Hey guys, it's me, Blue Toad. I wanted to apologize for my actions as they are not becoming of an aspiring Pokemon master. I know I let myself down as well as my community by allowing myself to get bent over and spanked by Sabrina in front of a live studio audience. So, it's with a heavy heart that I invoke the Blue Toad bullshit clause. That's right, we ain't finished. Yes, I understand I lost the run, but I'm having fun, so honestly, I don't care. I wanted to see if I could still finish the game. I released the 4 Pokemon we lost and decided as an extra challenge, I would use a random number generator to get rid of 1 Pokemon in my box. We ended up landing on a 5, which meant I had to get rid of Blink, which really sucks because he's my only good electric type Pokemon. With that out of the way, I settled on a new team of Persian, Haunter, Pidgeot, and Beedrill. I stocked up on some hyper potions before making my way back to the gym and challenging Sabrina for a second time. Noodle easily handled Kadabra, and Kevin quickly dispatched of Mr. Mime. Just kidding, he fucking died. Noodle came in and Mr. Mime got scared, running away and bringing in Alakazam. Noodle stood tall and brought the beast down, but not before it set up several future sites. So I sent out Juno to act as fodder and take on Mr. Mime, which she did, dying to Venomoth after dealing a decent amount of damage. I sent in Maverick, who finished the job with ease. Finally, fuck you Sabrina, and fuck you Alakazam. Stupid fucking Pokemon. I felt like my team was lacking after this whole ordeal and decided to head over to Route 12 and catch the Snorlax. Still pretty pissed about losing 8 Pokemon in Saffron City, I decided to just chuck a Master Ball at it and name it Beef. With Beef in the party, I made my way towards Fuchsia City, catching a horsey named Moo along the way. I evolved Rocky into Graveler and challenged Koga to a battle. Remember when we picked up that free Lapras named Tonita? Yeah, well you're about to. Koga is a perfect example of why Lapras is an incredible Pokemon and arguably the best one we have on our team right now. Tonita painted the walls of that gym with the blood of every single Pokemon Koga put in her way. Talk about domination. It was around this time that I had a brilliant idea. It involved grabbing a few of my missed fishing encounters. I snagged a Poliwag, Shelder, and Seaking before heading to the Safari Zone. See, there's a rule in Nuzlocke called the Dupe Clause, where if you encounter a Pokemon you've already caught or have an evolved version of, it doesn't count as your encounter. The Safari Zone gives you a 15% chance of fishing up a Dratini. The only other Pokemon I could possibly fish up now was a Psyduck, and with only a 4% chance, it was incredibly unlikely. So I grabbed some Safari Balls, started fishing, and are you fucking serious? I furiously threw bait in its face until it ran away before finding the TM for Surf and leaving Fuchsia City forever. I caught a seal named Omi in a cave before landing on Cinnabar Island. Finally, I was able to make use of my fossil from Mount Moon. I got a Kabuto that I named Genji and evolved into a Kabutops, one of my favorite Pokemon. I evolved the Poliwhirl I caught earlier named Hink into a Poliwrath, did some urban exploring, answered a couple questions, and got ready to face Blaine. Between Genji and Tonita, this fight was really easy. Rock Tomb for Growlithe and Surf for everything else. 7 badges down, 1 more to go. I flew back to Viridian City, made my way through another fuck-ass maze, and arrived before Giovanni. He talked a really big game for someone whose entire team got surfed away by my Lapras all in under a minute. Absolute bum. Good riddance. To prepare for the Elite Four, I headed over to the power plant and picked up a Magnemite that I named Buzzlight. I evolved it into a Magneton, planning to use it for the Elite Four. Next, I needed a couple TMs, which means, you guessed it, gambling time! I sat in front of those slots until my fingers bled. The Pokemon slots are kinda just like real life slots in that you always profit if you just gamble long enough. At least I think that's how it works. I got enough coins for a Thunderbolt TM, a Miracle Seed for Cactus Jack, and a Mystic Water for Tonita. Once that was all finished, my final team was ready to go. We had Buzzlight the Magneton, Tonita the Lapras, Cerberus the Dodrio, Beef the Snorlax, Cactus Jack the Venusaur, and Bia the Primeape. Before I could head to the plateau though, Gary arrived and asked if I could beat his ass just one more time. So, being the nice Pokemon trainer I am, I said yes and gave him straight belt to ass just one more time, barely taking any damage in the process. I laughed at him while he cried before making my way to Victory Road and the Elite Four. I made sure I had all my healing items ready this time, and without further ado, it was time. First up was Lorelei. I led with Buzzlight, who got molested by a Surf before failing to KO with a Thunderbolt. Lorelei used a full restore, allowing me to KO the next turn with another Thunderbolt. Cloyster fell immediately to a Thunderbolt, as did Slowbro. But then out came Lorelei's Lapras, which started by hitting a Confuse Ray, and then killed Buzzlight with a crit Surf.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
For fuck's sake. I sent out Cactus Jack, who hit a Giga Drain for basically no damage, then remembered Lapras has Ice Beam and sent out Beef instead. The battle that followed was 10 turns of complete bullshit that somehow saw Beef KO Lapras with a return. While writing this script, I genuinely had no idea what to put for this part of the fight. It literally gave me a brain aneurysm. Once Lapras died, I sent in Bia to easily handle Jinx. 1 down, 3 to go. Next up was Bruno. Tonita easily surfed away his Onix. Then I sent in Cerberus, who took a huge Sky Uppercut before taking out Hitmonchan with a Fly. I used Fly again for the Machamp, but unfortunately, the calculations I didn't do were incorrect, and Cerberus fell to a Rock Tomb. Fuck me. Things were starting to get bad, so I sent out Bia to take on the Machamp, which she did. Next out was Hitmonlee, who ended up KOing Bia with a Brick Break. Things had officially gone from bad to worse. Tonita took care of Hitmonlee with a Surf, and did the same to Bruno's final Onix. Despite taking down 2 of the Elite Four, I could not have felt any less confident heading to fight Agatha. This was the fight where I really started to realize I'm just not very good at Pokemon. I led with Beef and used 4 different attacks that hit 0 times, allowing Gengar to use 3 double teams and a Confuse Ray. I switched into Tonita, who quickly reminded us why she's the MVP of this run by KOing Gengar and keeping us in the fight. Next up was Golbat, who fell to an Ice Beam, followed by Arbok, who fell to an Earthquake. Next came Agatha's second Gengar, and let me tell you, I cannot stand the Hypnosis Confuse Ray combo on this Pokemon. I've never been rage baited by an NPC so hard. Agatha decided to switch in Haunter, and at this point I was so tired of using Awakenings I forgot to use one. Cactus Jack died to a Dream Eater.
Are you retarded?
Tonita came in to finish off Haunter and bait out both of Agatha's full restores. Then after getting hit by back-to-back Hypnosises, Tonita fell to a Sludge Bomb, leaving only Beef. And as we know from previous experience, Beef can't do shit. So I sat there, helplessly, and watched my run die. For the second time. To conclude, we lost 14 Pokemon, broke the rules 1 time, humiliated Gary 6 times, and learned absolutely nothing. Officially, I lost to Sabrina, but unofficially, I lost to Agatha. So after breaking my own rules, sacrificing half of my team, turning Gary into my personal bitch, and gambling for hours, I had successfully managed to lose my Nuzlocke twice. But I will not be deterred. I will complete a Nuzlocke, and our next stop is Johto. So be sure to like, subscribe, and click that bell for updates and future videos. But otherwise, thank you for watching. Deuces.